Hello students, welcome to another lesson presented by the Learning Depot. In today's lesson, you'll learn about the passive causative. We'll look at the four main causative verbs, make, have, let, and get, and their passive structure. You will learn how only one of these causative verbs follows the be passive structure, which is considered the regular passive. Two other causative verbs follow the get passive structure, and one causative verb follows a structure similar to the passive in the imperative mood. The lesson starts now. In a previous lesson, you learned about causative verbs. You learned that to express true causation, there must be a certain verb structure that is unique to the causative sentence. The causative sentence has two verbs, the causative verb and the main verb. And the causative verb can be in any tense, but the main verb is always a non-finite verb, and it does not express tense. The subject of the causative verb is not the one doing the action of the verb. It's the object of the causative verb that does the action. The object of the causative verb then becomes the agent of the main verb and is the one taking the action of the main verb. There are times, however, when the passive causative is preferred. When you want to emphasize the thing or person receiving the action, or you do not know who or what is doing the action. Under these circumstances, the passive, in general, should be used. But when you express causation in the passive voice, the sentence structure changes. Before we go on, let's review the passive voice. The passive voice of a verb is formed by using the form of to be, followed by a past participle. The object of the active verb becomes the subject of the passive, and the subject of the active verb becomes, in the passive, an adverbial phrase, modifying the predicate verb. This adverbial phrase is sometimes referred to as the by phrase. And technically, any sentence of which the predicate is a transitive verb followed by an object may be changed from the active to the passive without affecting the sense. Let's start with make. Make follows the be passive structure. In other words, you can turn this active causative into a passive causative. Active, wicked stepmother makes Cinderella wash the dishes every night after dinner. If we turn it into the passive, we would say Cinderella is made to wash the dishes every night after dinner, and it is implied by wicked stepmother. This passive structure with make is not very common, and it sounds formal. You'll probably not see it very often, perhaps in formal writing or literature. Let's go on to have and get. Have and get follow the get passive structure. These are the two verbs that you'll usually learn about when forming the passive causative. It is important to note that there is a shift in meaning from the active causative to the passive causative when using the verbs have and get. In the active, have is used to describe a service you pay for. But it can also add an air or an element of status or rank where the causer is higher than the causee. And in the active, the verb get means to persuade or convince.
However, in the passive causative, the verb get is the informal version of have. It does not mean to convince or persuade, but rather to indicate how you either pay for a service or how you simply have something done. Since these two passive causatives follow the same syntactic structure, I place them under the get passive category. Let's start with have.
Wicked stepmother has Cinderella wash the dishes every night after dinner. In the passive, you would say, wicked stepmother has the dishes washed every night after dinner. Notice that now the causer, the wicked stepmother, is the subject of the sentence. However, she is not the one doing the action. We don't know who the agent, the one performing the action of the main verb is. It's implied with the by phrase. We know it's Cinderella, but it is implied. The causative verb has can be in any tense, but the main verb is always in the past participle form. Let's go on to get. Wicked stepmother gets Cinderella to wash the dishes every night after dinner. In the passive causative, we would say wicked stepmother gets the dishes washed every night after dinner. Again, it is implied that Cinderella is the one doing the washing, but you do not need to include it. It is called the by phrase, which is also an adverbial phrase.
Let's go on to let. Let, used in the active and in the passive, means to allow. But when we use let in the passive causative, you will notice that it has the same syntactic structure as the imperative sentence in the passive voice. You will see the use of the causative verb let, plus the object, plus the be verb, and a past participle.
Wicked stepmother lets Cinderella brush her hair. Wicked stepmother lets her hair be brushed by Cinderella. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I may even do another video in order to clarify any confusion you may have. Also, I'd like you to leave examples of causative sentences in both the passive and active voice, because remember that we are a learning community, and by leaving an example in the comments section, you may help another student. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe and to hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
To wear that tonight.
That's why I said it's something that you'll love, but will stay here.
Yeah. Oh, these fit perfectly.
I would take that home.